Guys, welcome back to Medical Coding with Blue. Today's episode is all about the types of coding all new medical coders should be proficient in when looking for a job. If you are brand new to my channel, welcome. I am Blue. I'm a medical coder. Okay, guys, so this episode is a piggyback off of another episode I just did about the pitfalls of remote medical coding. So in that video, I had gotten a message from a young lady who was just starting off in remote coding. She had transferred over from release of information. She was very excited to be doing medical coding now. And her supervisor in their office, they have it where if you change anything about the coding that you're doing, that you have to run it by them first to see if it's okay. And then if not, if you need to run a query by them before you send it to the provider, that's what you do. And so there was a situation where the provider got very upset because the young lady was sending a bunch of queries and he didn't understand why. And he kept reporting her to his clinic supervisor. Well, I said in the video, of course, if you're going to work remotely, I don't recommend that for anybody who's brand new to coding, because there's a lot of things that you can learn just by being in-house and being next to somebody who is established already in coding and knows the ins and outs of the industry. However, I know that on the East Coast and the West Coast, there's a space issue. And so sometimes being in person is not really a reality for you all. A lot of you all are remote, but then some of you are just seeking only those remote positions. And so I can go into another whole nother thing about this, but I'm trying to give you guys a good start. Okay, I don't want you to be overwhelmed. There's already plenty to be overwhelmed with when you first start off in medical coding and health information. And so that's why I'm telling you guys that if you have the opportunity to work in person, even just for a little bit, or get in-house training before they turn you loose home, that's going to set you up better for success. Well, one of the things this young lady did, and this is where she was running into a problem, was she was sending a lot of queries to this provider, and of course he was getting upset. And so to mitigate this problem, I was saying that she should introduce herself. As I've always said, even if you are a remote medical coder, you need to be introducing yourself because you need to establish those relationships. Of course, we got somebody on here who's really smart and who knows the industry better than me as a 16-year veteran. Come on and say, oh, it's not. She felt that it was not an issue with the provider relationships and the coder. It was the fact that they were making her code for evaluation and management. That sounded to her like it was a special project. And by judging by what she was saying, she was thinking that new coders should not have to do anything advanced like evaluation and management. Okay, let's pump the brakes here, okay? First of all, you're not going to outpace me when it comes to knowing about this industry. And that's first of all. Second of all, there is no such thing as, a novice coder can't code evaluation and management. My very first job through a temp agency, I was coding evaluation and management and minor procedures, and not really major procedures at the time, but just minor procedures in the clinic. And of course, I was doing diagnosis coding. So one of the things that you must know, or at least have a strong grasp of, the table of risk, okay, in evaluation and management, or E&M, this is so that the provider can get paid for their cognitive work. They have to decide to do certain things when it comes to taking care of this patient and managing this patient. And for some of these visits, they can get evaluation and management, right? Because they're deciding to do a surgery, they're deciding to put the patient on medication, they're deciding all of these things. So because of that, there are certain rules that apply when getting evaluation and management, because there's different levels and there's different categories depending on the setting. So if it's inpatient in a hospital, they have that. They have a whole series of that. They have the initial stay, they have the subsequent stay, and then they have the discharge day, okay? And then if they have outpatient clinic visits, there's those. If they are going to the ER, there's those. Okay, so the ER does not distinguish between new patient or established patient because everybody is the same in the ER. No one goes for follow-up care in the ER because that's not what the ER is designed for. Doesn't mean that people don't do it, but it's not what the ER is designed for. For outpatient clinic visits, there's new patient and there's established patient. There is no such thing if you are coding for a clinic. There is no such thing as the coders, the new coders do not code for the evaluation and management level. There is no such thing. When I saw that, I was just like, I've heard some doozies. I've heard some doozies on my channel. Some comments from people thinking they know and they don't know clearly. But this one, it really took the cake because she was literally saying that the relationship with the provider doesn't matter. That it was more, she was concerned, and the red flag is that why wasn't the lead medical coder coding for evaluation and management, and why were they making the novice coder code for evaluation and management? I'm like, where do you work? First of all, where do you work? But again, another show for another time. But here's the thing, guys. If you're brand new, there is no reason that you can't code for evaluation and management. Everybody, any reputable program, okay, any reputable program or self-study, you are going to be reviewing evaluation and management. It's in the CPT manual, so it's not like you have to get a whole other CPT book. Yes, you get a workbook. You can get a workbook to learn from. The one I recommend in the description box below, literally from Optum. That is the most fantastic workbook you could get. And if you work through that book from A to Z, right? From the first page all the way to the last page, trust me, you go through those exercises, each and every one of them, it will start to make sense to you. But for a lot of people and a lot of students out there, the first thing they say, oh, I heard evaluation and management is scary. Evaluation and management is not scary, okay? The reason that people are scared of it is because they're listening to something from somebody else. Fear begets fear, begets fear, begets fear. When I was in coding school, okay, I was going through at a really good pace. I went to a trade school. The trade school is no longer there. But the program that I was going through was self-paced. So you could go at any speed you wanted to. I was making really good timing through the school, okay? And when I got to the evaluation and management course, they told me, Bleu, you're doing a really good job. You're making it through at a really good timing. However, this is where people get stuck. This is actually the subject that will make people quit. We've had people literally quit because they didn't get it. And I'm like, no, I did not come all of this way to stop and to be stopped right here. And they go, okay, well, just make sure that you take your time with it. If you have questions, you know, we have the instructor that comes in. And if you all have been here for a while, you know, me da asco. I could not stand that guy. No. Call me unprofessional. I don't care. I'm telling you, that guy was creepy. And I was not about to deal with him. So here's what I did so that I could learn evaluation and management on my own. I got the book. Now, the book that I got is in storage, so I don't remember the title. However, it's really outdated because evaluation and management got a facelift a few years ago. So there's a lot of changes to it and a lot of things that are new. And so it's a lot more to the point, very concise now versus before when you had to get all these points and everything. But that book, I read it from point A to point B. I mean, the whole thing, A to Z. And when I would be in the rooms where we are all studying at the school, everyone was asking me, what are you doing? And I said, well, I'm reading it from cover to cover. And they go, well, you know, we only have to read certain portions of this book, right? I don't know why you're doing that. You're wasting time. No, this is, first of all, I'm not going to take this course again. I'm not repeating this. And I went in with that attitude. I'm going to go through this one time. I'm going to get this, even though it's going to take me a little bit longer. That's okay. The slow way is the fast way. Thank you, Rick, from his channel, Think Like a Horse. It has nothing to do with coding, but it has everything to do with freaking common sense. I'm not going to sit here and rush through and then try to be this expert and not really know what I'm doing. So because I went through that book cover to cover, I was able to pass evaluation and management on the first try. And I've never had an issue with coding evaluation and management. Never. In my entire career, I've always been very strong in evaluation and management. So that's the thing. That lesson learned, y'all. All you have to do is, there's plenty of free resources as well. I have them in the description box for evaluation and management learning. And if you go through your CPT manual, go through the evaluation and management section. There's no reason that just because you're a novice coder that you can't code for evaluation and management. That is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard in my whole life. If you do not know how to do that, you've passed your test, you need to go back and study some more. Because you passed your test, and maybe you didn't do so hot, maybe when you're looking at your scores, you didn't do so hot in the evaluation and management section, you need to be going over it again. Because there's no reason to be so scared of it. Okay, this week I have my my Patreon. I have my study group. We have a live study group on Zoom once a month, and for my members in the 15 and up category, they are all invited. And so when I send out this invitation, people who get the invitation can go to this meeting. You can ask your coding question, and we cover everything. And on my Patreon channel, I even have evaluation and management exercises. I make notes, and then I have you level them out, you know. And so that's the thing that you can get extra practice for that way. Okay, minimum pledge is $15. I don't think that's bad. That's a really good deal anyway. But yeah, you can come in and ask your question. We talk about whatever subjects people want to talk about when, you know, we're in this study hall, and sometimes no one's asking any coding questions, so we talk about the career field, you know. So, and it goes on for about an hour. So, I mean, there's plenty of time for people to ask questions. But the fact that people are letting that stop them, or the other thing the lady said was, well, that it should be in her contract that she's going to be coding for evaluation and management. No. When you are out there, you're applying, and it's telling you you're an outpatient coder, it doesn't need to spell out that you're going to be coding for evaluation and management. It doesn't need to do that. And in my in my career, I have not ever seen that spelled out like that. And if you need to have that spelled out like that, because she's like, well, if it's not, you know, I would be rethinking that position. Really? Yes, I personally did see some red flags with the position the young lady was talking about. You know, the fact that you have to sit here and ask for permission before you change any of the codes. To me, that's micromanaging. And I don't do that. I don't recommend that for anybody, because if you have somebody and they have experience, now I understand, like in the beginning, those 90 days, yes, you got to review, 100% review. I get it. But not when you have somebody who has experience, because she says that's the norm for their company, is that you have to clear it with the lead. And not every lead is going to be coding all day. What the other thing that this other lady that thinks that she knows and doesn't clearly know is that leads have different roles. Sometimes the lead is like in a supervisory position. What they're doing is they're assisting with the coding, as far as like the coders and the audits. Sometimes they do that, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they're just running reports. Sometimes they're looking for errors. Sometimes they're managing the denials. Sometimes they are doing the education for the providers or for the coders. So it really all depends on that facility and what they do in a lead coding position. When my first experience with a lead coder was my friend Jessica, okay, because she was my supervisor and now she's my friend. But my first experience with a lead medical coder was her. And as a lead medical coder, she was our supervisor. She was the one who we reported to every single day. She wasn't the one who signed our time cards. That was another lady. But she was our supervisor. If we called in, we had to call her, you know, so that's the thing, you know, I mean, and what she did was she did the education. She did all of those things. She did audits, and that's what she did. She did our own internal audits, but we also had another auditor that did for the hospital as well. So there we had 2 audits. So, but that was the way that it was for her. And so not every, but her job day in and day out was not coding. It was going to meetings and doing all these other administrative duties. So don't just assume just because somebody's a lead medical coder that they're supposed to be doing evaluation and management. If you are assigned to a clinic, right, whether it is an ortho clinic, podiatry, or cardio, or ortho, or, you know, I already said ortho, any of these specialty clinics, or you're assigned to professional fee coding, you know evaluation and management is going to be part of that. So that's the thing that you really have to understand. And don't give me this BS of, oh, I'm scared of it. There's nothing to be scared of. There's nothing to be scared of. All you have to do is get the practice. Like I said, get that workbook that I recommend from Optum in the description box below. And that will help you, because that's what you need to do is practice. CPT coding is another thing that you need to be familiar with. Familiar with what a minor procedure is, what a major procedure is, and then procedures that don't have a global period on them at all. Okay, so that's something else that you need to know. Like immunizations, they don't have a global period, but you need to recognize the differences. Okay, and there's plenty of resources. Again, description box. So that's what you need to know about the CPT side. You also need to know modifiers. When do the modifiers apply? What is modifier 24? What is modifier 25? What is modifier 57? What is modifier 27? These are all that can be added to evaluation and management codes. What is modifier 59? That's on your CPT procedure codes, right? Because even though evaluation and management is in the CPT book, there are certain modifiers that can't go on evaluation and management codes. So that's something that you all need to know too. What is modifier 55? What is, modifier 54? Those go on the procedures. Again, things that are very important to understand, and it's all in the CPT book. So recognizing those things, understand what the global period is. If you don't understand what the global period is, I have posted that link before, but you can actually Google the Global Surgical Booklet, okay, from CMS, the Medicare Learning Network, and it will pop up, and you can, and it's a downloadable and it's free. I think it's like 19 pages, but it is fantastic. It covers everything you need to know about evaluation and management. There is no reason that somebody that is brand new shouldn't know what a 0 to 10 day global period is, what a 90-day global period is, how many total days are in a 90-day global period, right? Or you say, well, it's 90 days. Not technically true, because it is the day before a planned surgery, the day of surgery, and 90 days thereafter. That's the total global period, okay? And now if you're saying, well, they decided to do surgery, they did it within 24 hours, that's a 57 modifier on that evaluation and management code, because that's saying that this wasn't planned in advance, and we can get this this evaluation and management code to go with this, because if it is if the decision for surgery has already been made and that patient tries to come in, okay, you're doing a pre-op the day before, that pre-op is not going to be able to get an evaluation and management code the day before a surgery. Why? Because that's already included in the global package. The day before surgery, the day of surgery, and 90 days thereafter, that's all included in the global package. If you don't know this, you all need to start doing your research. The independent study, which I have updated, and it is included in the description box of this video, it literally lays out for you the whole plan, all of the books that I recommend. You go through those books, you go through any area that you feel that you're weakest in, and you start restudying that again. Because the young lady did it right. She knew something was wrong with those evaluation and management codes. She knew that there was something was wrong with those. She was down coding. She got approval from her supervisor. She knew what to do. The other lady saying that, oh no, you don't need to do that. I don't know who that lady's talking to or where she works, but I'm just telling you guys, if you're brand new, This is what you have to know. You have to know about that CPT book. You have to know about these little nuanced details. Okay? If you're still on the outpatient side, the HCPCS, you got to know about that. What is HCPCS? Now, HCPCS covers a variety of things. It can cover mileage. Okay? Some insurances, they'll cover mileage, right? There's the Medicare colonoscopy codes in there, you know, for the high risk and for your regular screening colonoscopies, they're in there. And durable medical equipment is in there as well. And so those are things like if they're giving the supplies out from the clinic, just say for instance, the clinic has those foot inserts, right? The insoles for the shoes, and they're giving those out. Well, of course, that needs to be kept track of. Well, there's the HCPCS code for that. And sometimes if you don't know what it is, you can look on the box. The HCPCS code will be there as well. That's stuff that you need to know. And I know that's kind of hard because it's just like, oh my gosh, how do I know that? But you're watching my channel, so you're going to get the details. And it's going to be in a way that you may not like. And it's going to be in a way that's going to be blunt and straightforward to the point. But you're going to get this information. So whether I upset you, doesn't really matter to me. Okay? I'm just trying to help you. So learn the HCPCS book. The ICD-10-CM book. Your diagnosis coding. Now, if you're afraid of certain subjects in evaluation and management, just say, for example, injuries. Everybody starts moaning and groaning when I talk about injuries. Oh, I'm so scared, Blue. I don't like them. Why? Why do you not like them? Injury coding is fun. I love injury coding. You have your initial, you have your subsequent, and you have your sequela. Oh, I don't like sequela. I don't understand it. Sequela happens when there's a manifestation. Something happens as a result of an injury. They're connected. They're connected. There is something that happens, whether it is a scar that happens from a laceration, and it's a painful scar, and they still have it. There's your codes: scar, the laceration injury code with an S at the end. And then, how did they get that laceration? Okay, they were in contact with a sharp object. That's going to be your external cause code. Okay, external cause has to go with those injuries with an S at the end. Okay, because again, it's for sequela. Now, a lot of people say, well, injuries is not that important. Injuries are freaking important because you don't know, these are legal documents that you're messing with here in these medical records. These records can go to court. They can be compelled to go to court. And so if there's something that happened as a result of an injury, whether it is, you know, somebody's getting into a fist fight and they're suing each other, or there was an accident, a car accident, or an on-the-job accident, this information needs to be recorded. If there is something that happens as a result of, obviously, again, if the coding has been, okay, you understand what you're doing, the coding is going to be able to be reliable 100% of the way. And there's no getting around this. But if you say, oh, Blue, I haven't had any chance to get around that stuff. I mean, I don't even have my first job yet. You still have your coding manuals? You need to be looking through them. If you have the Optum Expert for Physicians, ICD-10-CM Expert for Physicians, guess what? When you go into the tabular section before every single chapter, there is a copy of the chapter-specific guidelines, and then it has coding examples. It has the question, it has the answer, and it has the rationale. All you have to do is cover up the answers and the rationale. And you look up those questions, and you start coding them yourself. And then you look to see if you have the answer correct. That's what you need to be doing. So that way, when you are tested, when you have to go and take the test, the assessment test for the employer, and they say, okay, well, here's your assessment test. You're going to pass it with flying colors, because you're not going to sit here and rest on your laurels that, oh, yes, I have my certification. Okay, if you're not practicing, it's not going to mean a hill of beans, because then you're not going to be able to pass the assessment tests. But if you're listening to me and you've been practicing, and then you take those assessment tests, it can be like, oh my gosh, Where have you been? we would be so happy to have you. But you know, guys, this is what happens. I'm going to give you all the real deal. People stop studying. They're out there, they're so frustrated because the red carpet is not rolled out for brand new medical coders because it's very difficult getting in. It's not impossible. And I always tell you guys that if you're going to apply, you need to be applying even though they're asking for experience, because if happy coders are in the area, they will stay where they're at. And that employer is going to be so desperate that they're going to need to hire somebody. But if you want them to take a chance on you, you need to let them know, hey, I'm here. I'm here. And if they say, well, you know, we'll bring you in for an interview, and they bring you in and they say, well, you know, we can't hire you because you don't have experience, that's okay too. You know why? Because you're getting that practice in. You may have been so nervous, but you're getting that practice in for that interview. You're meeting people in the industry, and your attitude walking out of there is going to, trust me, the community is small where people know people. There's 5 degrees of separation in coding, trust me. Because I've had plenty of people say, they'll walk up to me, complete stranger to me, and they'll say, hey, do you know so-and-so? And I'm like, yeah, you know, that I used to work with them, XYZ, whatever. And they're like, oh, yeah, they know you. And they said, oh, you know, if you see Blue, say hi. You know, we worked together back in the day and blah, blah, blah. I mean, and their opinion of me is what they see, or based on the channel, they, you know. So, I mean, it really all depends. But it's a small community. And that's how you get known. And that's how you start making those connections. So if you are showing them, hey, you know what, I am ready. I am ready. I've been practicing, I've been studying, I've been out there with my 1-page resume and my wonderful cover letter that says a little bit more about me as a person. And that's where I'm putting like organizing team player. I'm not putting that on my skills list. Organized team player, if I say that on the skills list, that's an immediate discard. I will discard that resume if I'm a hiring manager. Because to me, it's like you don't understand what are the hard skills that coders need. What did I just say just now? The CPT, evaluation and management, right? Knowing all of that, Hicks Picks, ICD-10-CM. And if you're on the inpatient side, or if you want to be on the inpatient side, you want to avoid all the CPT coding and the evaluation and management coding, and you want to code DRGs, MSDRGs, and present on admission, and all of those good things, and code from the ICD-10 PCS book, that's what you got to know. ICD-10 PCS. How do I get better with it, Blue? The Optum ICD-10 PCS manual, in the back of that book, the spiral bound book, it has 388 procedures that you can look up with the answers. Okay, so it's got a section of the blank ones where they're just asking you the questions. You keep flipping, and then you'll see the whole answer key in the back. Okay. The AMA ICD-10 PCS version also has those same 388 procedures, but Optum has it. And I recommend Optum books hands down, because when it comes to the quality of your tools that you're using, that's going to really play a big part in your understanding of the coding the more you spend time with those books. And even though, yes, now they're AAPC is starting to allow tests with electronic books. A lot of people are excited about that because they have some vendetta against paper books. Oh, it's a waste of the environment. No, it isn't, because people are still recycling those. They're not dousing them in decoupage and using them for other things, which then they can't be recycled when they're doused in decoupage. Somebody destroying a book, it breaks my heart. I can't stand it. Books are so important. So whether you are taking your test with a book or with an electronic book, books are going to be your friend here, folks. Books are going to be your friend. That's how you're going to learn. That's 100% how you will learn. Okay? But you will learn those things. And you will develop those relationships with your providers. It does not matter if you are just the coder. If you are responsible for sending the queries to the provider, you better make sure that you are introducing yourself. Sending a quick email, hello, I'm your new medical coder. Very excited to be here. State your credentials. Okay? whether you have a degree or whether you have a CPCA or whether you have a CCS or a CCA or a CCSP, you need to do that. Let them know who you are. So that way, when you do have to send them a query, or when you are sending them education little tidbits, they're not going to say, who the heck is this person? You won't have to run into the same instance that the young lady did. She was doing her job. She was doing her job. Under a micromanager, right? Because she had to clear everything. I would never work in a place like that. But she's working in it because it's her first time. She's learning. And that's okay. But for the rest of you, what I'm letting you know right now is that you don't need to be afraid of these providers. It's the same way that the providers should not be afraid of you, but a lot of them won't go to you. You have to make the first step, because if you don't, they won't. Oh, trust me, they will not. And it's going to be on you to make that first move and to say, hey, here I am. And you never know, you may get a really good one that will want to ask you questions. And then you may get one where you're going to have to develop them into asking you questions. I've done that plenty of times. But anyway, with that said, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up. But yes, those are a fact of life, guys. When you're a medical coder, is that you will learn and you will have to know about all of those things, and you will have to create a relationship with those providers. And anybody who tells you that you don't have to have a relationship with your provider as a coder is wrong. If this video helped you, please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.